Sponsored by the Glass Jug. Located just off State Road 55 in Durham, the Glass Jug is the only place in the Triangle where you can browse a selection of hundreds of different craft beers, sit and enjoy one of 16 different beers on tap, and then take home a counter-pressure-filled growler of your favorite draft beer. Their growler filling technology ensures beer freshness and carbonation for much longer than growlers filled from the tap. Join the Glass Jug for free tasting events every Thursday at 5 p.m. We'll see you at the Glass Jug.
Hi, I'm Glenn, Dash behind the camera with NC Beer Guys, and welcome to another episode of the NC Beer Buzz. We have found our way to Angier, North Carolina, which is just down the highway from Raleigh, North Carolina, kind of south, and we're in Harnett County, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And we're at the White Rabbit Brewery, and if you guys get a chance, you've got to find Angier on the map and make your way to White Rabbit. So Ken Ostraco?
Yes, sir.
That's good. Is the founder, and we're going to let him talk about the brewery a little bit. Thanks for having us in, by the way.
Oh, thank you for coming.
And he's going to introduce Matt in just a minute, and Matt's the brewer here. So tell us about how you came to be a brewery owner. I mean, is that something, people don't grow up thinking they're always going to be a brewery owner. You were something else and decided to be a brewery owner.
I'm still a software architect and engineer.
Okay.
And I started brewing about 30 years ago when I got out of the service. Back in the mid-'80s. Charles Papazian had already put out his first book on the joy of
So you like the rest of us, you opened a book and read it out. I can do this.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a beer drinker, I think I can do this.
I brewed my first couple of batches in the house, in the kitchen, got kicked out of the house.
The wife put you in the garage or the carport like the rest of us.
Exactly.
Because those boilovers on the stove, they're not good well.
No, not at all. So, you know, I had a friend who built a brew pub in downtown Manhattan when I worked on Wall Street in the mid-'80s. And he did very well. And I told my wife back then, you know, in the latter years of my life, I think a brewery might be in the future. And I always had that tucked away and squirreled away in the back of my head, thinking, you know, you got to figure out what you're going to do with the second half of your life at some point.
And you found your way to North Carolina, huh?
We came down here following family.
Wall Street.
No, but we really love it down here, and started brewing with neighbors in the neighborhood, getting them involved with home brewing, and I kept pitching it to them, saying, hey, you know, if you want a small business that we could start and grow slowly, a brewery is a really good business model, and nobody bit. And at some point, one of my friends, Anthony, said, you know, I think that would be a good idea. So he started the business with me. Right. He's no longer with the company, but we built this with our own two hands from scratch, ground up, without, you know, financing and large.
You kind of did it in an incremental way too. You, unlike some people go out and borrow a bunch of money and hog their whole life and commit 100% in the sense of they really are owned by somebody else, but they're trying.
Right.
You, on the other hand, did it kind of small and quietly and started. Number one, how did you pick Angier? Were you living here, or is this close?
I live in Fuquay, so it's only 12, 15 minutes away. And we were looking at the cost of the expense of the overhead for leasing space in Garner, Raleigh, and Apex, Holly Springs, Fuquay, and the rent here was inexpensive, and because it was so close to Fuquay, it's not that far off the beaten path. And if people do find you, eventually they'll make their way to you. They'll go out of their way to find a new brewery and craft beer.
And there's something to be said for being the only guy in town.
Yes.
And there's not another one even in Harnett County, is
Not
there?
yet. We're the first brewery in Harnett County.
And they're only in for a while.
Yes. For a while.
And there were no infrastructure to work against you. I mean, in the sense of they didn't have prohibitive things in place to keep you from doing what you're doing. They had to welcome any industry.
They opened us with, and they welcomed us with open arms here.
But is that true? Because we hear sometimes that part of the struggle is getting open. The municipality or the county just working with the permits and the rules and regs. You didn't have that.
Harnett County, nope. The zoning department and Angier, the town itself, the town board members and the town manager were very welcoming to us and very excited about having us. They weren't sure what it was going to end up meaning in the grand scheme of things, but now that we've been here for 3 years, they're very happy that they did welcome us.
So you do feel a a part of the community.
Yes,
You feel like you have added to the community here,
Yes.
and they appreciate that.
Yes.
That's huge. That's huge. So we've been in about 3 years now.
January 2nd was our 3rd year of incorporation, and we've been actively brewing beer and selling it with our brewers notice since the end of June 2.5 years ago.
Everything you thought it'd be.
I thought it
But
was
what did your
gonna be-
business plan say you'd be in 3 years?
We thought that we would be in a 10 or 15 barrel brew house here in this facility, and we found that doing the low and slow growth plan of building the brand and the product and the name recognition was a much more important thing for us to focus on, and that once you have that name recognition, then you can work on distribution because you're a known quantity. If you go out there and build a 20 barrel brew house, now you've got 20 barrels of beer you have to start
That nobody's ever heard of.
that nobody's ever heard of. And how are you going to brew as many beers as we do, which is 16? You don't do that with a large scale system and try to build your business at the same time. You also have to quit your full-time job, and then you have to worry about where your income's going to be for
That's right.
the 3 women you live
And
with.
it becomes much more stressful that way.
Yes, absolutely.
So
I
you've
call
been
that jumping into the deep end of the pool and asking
And
somebody
at
to
some
hand
point
you a
you'll be
cigarette.
ready for the deep end, but
Yeah.
you can work your other situation out.
Yes.
Now Matt's fairly new to the game here.
He has been brewing with
How'd you
us
find
since
this guy?
February. He had come to us as a recommendation for somebody who was interested in helping us brew here. He came
Because
and helped us
prior
a
to
couple
Matt
times.
coming, you guys were doing your own brewing. You were kind of the brewer.
I was, yes.
Right.
I've formulated all the recipes that we currently have, and Matt came in apprenticing with us. Learned how I like having our beer brewed and using the equipment that we use. And over a short period of time, it was about 4, maybe 5 months, he started taking over all the brewing responsibilities. And now when he brews, I'll come in here and help him. So he's...
That's nice.
Yes.
That's
it is very
great
nice.
progress.
Yeah, and he's come with a wealth of suggestions as well, and we talk about things and try to figure out how we're going to improve either the product or the process or the time that it takes to brew, and it really is a good relationship where we bounce ideas off of each other and try to just make it work better, and I think it's doing extremely well.
Right.
So this is Matt. He is our brewmaster.
And Matt, you came to brewing in how? A home brewer, I guess.
Yeah, when I was about 20, you can't really buy beer
He's only
legally.
22 now, but
I'm
he's just a child.
I'm 31 now, but I had an issue buying beer because it wasn't legal, so I thought I'd make it myself, and then it kind of turned into an obsession, and then over a decade, kind of refined my own things.
And you were a
and
service guy.
I still am for about 4 more months.
Okay, I thought. Okay.
Yep, 4 more months, and then I'll be here full time.
Well,
And
thank you for your service.
oh, thank you. And it's just been really great working with Ken, and he's my boss. But I feel we collaborate all the time, so it's been great.
And you wanted to make this was a natural transition for you, or you didn't know what would become after the service, or it kind of grew into more than you thought, or
Once I got here, it quickly grew more than I thought.
because you kind of came in thinking it was enhancing your hobby, I guess.
Yeah, more or less. I never thought I would be the brewmaster of a brewery. That never, especially not in the time that I've been here. That's certainly not. So, I mean, I wanted to do something when I got out, but I wasn't quite sure, and I didn't think I was going to get a job like this. So, yeah, it's been great. Accelerated timeline for sure.
That's great. Good. So what can we expect now? So we've got, you said, how many flagships? I mean, standard brews that we can always count on.
Well, we have 8 on tap all the time, and then we have our seasonals.
So you were counting like 16.
We have 16 altogether. We have 8 that we try to keep on tap, but then we rotate like 4 other ones. So there's really about 12, and then there's the seasonals. You throw those in there, we're up to about 16. We have our Blackberry Hefeweizen, which is in the spring. That'll be our next seasonal beer.
We love the pumpkin in the fall.
The pumpkin in the fall and the Oktoberfest. We have the Footman Stout, which is intended initially to be a winter beer, but I'm not sure that it's going to
It may not go away.
work that way.
We
It may
may
not
drink it
go
all
away.
summer.
Yes.
And we had the chance to drink a road tonight. Matt's first, like 100% creation. Is that right? The Mad Hatta,
The Mad Hatter,
which is a black imperial IPA.
That's correct. Yeah.
So Matt, how did that come to be? Was that something a recipe that you evolved, or
That's actually Ken's recipe. But yeah, no, we
It was a collaboration. As like I was saying earlier when we were just chatting, it was a meld of a couple of black IPAs that I had done in the past, and then I started bouncing ideas against Matt and getting his feedback. So it really ended up being a meld and a collaborative effort.
excellent beer, by the way.
Thank you.
And that'll be available on your 3rd anniversary, which is coming this weekend, next weekend actually.
17th, yes.
And also, we understand maybe at some local accounts.
Yes.
Out and about, because we are used to thinking of when we want White Rabbit, we got to come to Angier and drink White Rabbit. But you're now out in the hinterlands.
Yes, we're in about a dozen different places around the area, either Raleigh, North Raleigh, Cary, down in Lillington. We're actually on tap at Full Steam. They have us as the guest tap there with our Tea Party Porter and the Footman Imperial.
So what kind of demands does that place on the brewer when Derek's out selling all this beer and it's all selling out of places, and you are like, he comes back and says, I sold all the beer. It's because you guys are still small in some senses.
Absolutely. I mean, we're still a nano, but I mean, it's been great. We have a lot of styles, but the way we brew, I mean, I can do individual barrels at one time, so it's not like a larger scale brew house where I can only do one a day essentially, or if I do a double brew day, I could do. We're about to expand to 6 barrels, so that's 6 individual barrels of anything we carry. So I have a higher degree of flexibility that probably I don't think anyone else has.
Right. Now let's talk about the expansion. We are at what now, or previously?
We're currently at 3 barrels, and Matt comes in here 2, sometimes 3 times a week and brews 3 barrels at a time. We've done a couple of times where we've done a back-to-back with an overlap of mash in order to try to increase our production and inventory. But it became a challenge to try to keep up with getting beer out to the customers, keeping it on tap here, and exploring a new revenue stream, which is our bottling. And we're in 5 total wines in the local
2
area,
bottles
2 different
now.
2 different
The
styles.
Jabberwocky, which is triple, which you guys know, my viewers, I love a triple, and the Jabberwocky's great. And what is the other bottle product?
The Tea Party Porter, a vanilla bourbon porter. And probably shortly thereafter, it's going to be the creme brulee chocolate milk stout, which is the Footman, and the black IPA that you had today, and the blackberry Hefeweizen with the white name. So
and we're expanding to what? That's where we headed toward.
We're going to 6 barrels. We designed a system. Matt laid out a game plan, and we got the.
So he's more than a brewer in some way.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, he brings other skills to the table.
Yes, absolutely. I think the 2 of us together, from an engineering standpoint, we bounce ideas off of each other on that level as well.
Because your MO in the service was not brewery operations.
No,
You've got some other skills somewhere.
I feel like I talk to him more than I talk to my wife. We're always bouncing ideas back and forth.
Good.
So we're doing an automated hot liquor tank system that's going to be producing 330 gallons of hot water that would, with the goal that it's going to be ready when Matt walks in the door, ready to mash. And we're going from 3 barrels to 6. We're getting some steel in order to build a platform so that we can be able to move it around, but be able to brew 6 barrels at the same time. And that would be either 2 3-barrel batches of 2 different styles, or as many as 6 different beers at one time. Which is pretty cool. And that's what gives us a lot of flexibility, to be able to keep all those different styles on tap and fill our consumer requests out in the bar and restaurants.
And that's all coming out of Angier.
Yes, sir.
Don't forget that, Angier. Find your way down to Angier.
Little Angier, that's right.
Well, it looks like it's time for a beer.
It's always time for a beer.
Always time for beer. You see their shirts, their logo. It looks like it's time for beer, which is one of our favorite sayings too. Thanks for having us in today.
Thank you for coming.
We wish you the best of luck. And to our viewers, you've got to find your way to Angier. And if you can't find your way to Angier and to White Rabbit, you've got to check out one of the Total Wine stores or one of the shops, one of the accounts in the Raleigh Triangle area. Get your hands on some White Rabbit Brewery product. You won't regret it. And you then will have to find your way to Angier to get your second taste of White Rabbit Brewery. For Dave and Glenn, we're the NC Beer guys. And remember, drink local and keep your beer dollars in North Carolina.